Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and I am going to show my most carried knives of 2021. Now, these aren't necessarily knives that came out in 2021, and I'm not editing this video, so bear with me. We're just going to go through the knives. If you just listen up, hopefully you guys can hear the names crystal clear, because I'm not throwing up any names or thumbnails or anything. But my most carried knives in my EDC organizer, which goes on my belt. So I always carry a knife in my EDC organizer. These are the top 5 that have made it in there the most often. As of recently, there's been a couple others that are, fitting this place, but these are the top 5 that have been in there the most in 2021. We have the Savivi Elementum, not necessarily this one. I have like 5 of them. This is the new dark green micarta version, but I have an S35 VN version and another D2 version. Awesome knife. They do have a Wiha Elementum coming in 20 CV. That's a titanium frame lock. I believe on December 30th, I believe it's coming. So keep your eyes out for that. The next knife has been, I have a couple Hinders XM18s that I do carry often, but this one by far has been the most. So instead of showing my other XM18 3.5 inch, I've actually carried my 3 inch a little bit more this year. Now the 3.5 inch has definitely been in the pocket quite a bit, but the 3 inch has just been in the pocket the most. I love carrying it, especially in the beginning of the year. All at the beginning of the year, this was like my most carried. It fits perfectly in my EDC organizer. It's a great thumb stud knife, and it just works out perfectly. This one has red micarta scales. Now, I am planning on switching this to because I have another one that has a flipper tab. I'm probably going to switch the scales on them. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But the thumb stud action is great on this knife. Super smooth. Love the reverse flick. This one is in 20 CV. And yeah, just a super solid little user, man. I love the little Hinder 3 inches, especially the non-flippers. Now, the Asher Spyro 3.0, or is it, no, Asher, why did I say 3.0? The Asher Spyro frame lock, because they have the liner lock, they have a bunch of, a couple different Spyros. This is the titanium frame lock version. They have the flipper, the liner lock. The flipper is a liner lock also, but then the regular liner lock, which is the thumb stud, just like this, just a G10 and liner lock version. This is the titanium frame lock version. And man, since I've gotten this thing, I love carrying it. Fits in my EDC organizer really good, and it's just a super solid knife. The Kaiser Deviant, one of my most, especially of recently, carried in my EDC organizer. I love the way it looks. I love the vintage look to it. And it matches I have a little copper Olight right here that I carry next to it. So they just look really good together. And I patinaed them at the exact same time because I patinaed this. And I should have put a clear coat over them because they continued to patina. That's why the bright blue is like going away. But I'll probably just redo them because I love the way it looks when it's fresh. I love the way it looks after it ages too, but love this knife though. M390, micarta, awesome thumb stud action, great deep carry clip. Oh, now I'm messing up my detent. This has a great detent, man. Super solid detent. Love the sharpening choil, satin flat on top, and then a stone washed flat, and then the top of the blade is a hand satin finish. And then I'm messing up these names. I'm trying to do them quickly. This is my Medford Slim Midi Marauder. I love this knife so much, man. I absolutely love this knife. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels in hand. The reverse flick is awesome. S35 VN on mine. Beautiful hand hollow ground blade. I love the stonewash on the top, stonewash in the fuller, a heavy stonewash in the fuller. This has more of like a polished stonewash, and then a nice deep hollow ground blade. Nice and thin blade stock, very slim in the hand, and it looks really good in my EDC organizer. Now I know this is like the biggest one that goes in my organizer, but look at how good that looks. It pretty much fits perfectly. Love the way it fits in there, and it just works really good. I normally, when I do carry it, I normally carry it in my organizer. I carry and rotate a lot of knives. So many knives. Like, I could easily pull up the Kaiser sheepdog that I've carried a lot. But there's just other knives that wind up in the pocket, I guess, more. Whether it's because I'm using them at work or whatever, but the Savivi Picaro is a knife I've carried a lot. I've had it for, since before 2021. It's a fantastic user. I love the shape of it. I love the grind. I love the action. And it's just a nice full-size knife that cuts like a beast. And I love using it. Now, for the same reason, I use the Gale Bradley quite a bit. Now, the thing with the Gale Bradley is that it actually doesn't get in the pocket as much lately, and the reason why is because of this detent. It has the weakest detent you've ever seen, and it drives me nuts. But just taking a knife out and cutting with it and using it, I love this, and I was carrying it for a long time, but it just eventually kind of irritated me too much about that detent. The TS223. Now, I used to have one of these, got lost, then Q-Ball sold me one, and then another awesome person gave me one. So I have two of these now. I have a 14C28N version, and I have a M390 version. So I love using this knife. I love carrying the knife. It's just a great flipper. It looks good. It carries good. The grind is amazing. The Tucson TS223 is just a fantastic knife. And that's what I love about it. I love how the sharpening choil is, so I don't mind sharpening it. I don't mind messing it up. I don't mind anything with it. It's just a fantastic user. Love that knife. Now, the CJRB Scoria, since I've gotten it, on like budget knives, I don't know if it's the most carried one or not, but I've definitely beat the heck out of it, because I got two of them, man, and I've wrecked their edges, so that's got to say something. This one's had multiple edges put on it. The other one, its edge is destroyed, and I've carried it quite a bit, especially this one. Now, it's not, I haven't had this one very long. I've only had it since 2021, but great user. I do like carrying it, and I do like using it. So next, my Spartan Hersey. Spartan Hersey, I've definitely had it a little over, well, I don't know. Maybe I did get this one in 2021. At the very beginning, maybe, but I love this knife. I carry it quite a bit, and I've got multiple edges on it, or a couple edges on it, especially for not having it too long. You can kind of see how it's kind of wearing, because originally it was bright purple. I love how the colors start breaking in, and it's a great knife. Now, I don't beat the hell out of it or anything like that, or at least I haven't yet. Not that I wouldn't, but yeah, this is a great knife. And the only thing, though, is it is a thick grind. So it's not the most friendliest knife to cut with, but damn it, is it a badass knife. I love that knife. Next, my Wee Malice. My Wee Malice. Since I've gotten this knife, it has gotten a lot of love. A lot of pocket time. Now, I will admit, though, I need to put an edge on it, man. My edge is just wrecked on it, and I haven't spent as much time sharpening this knife as I should, but it will definitely get some time on the stone, especially very soon. I've been kind of what's the word for it? I've been not ignoring it, but I've definitely not give it as much love on the stone as I should be. But I love carrying it, love the knife, and it's a great knife. I wish the detent was a little bit stronger on the flipping action, but I've got my new one now. Well, not new malice, but I've got this one now, so it's kind of replacing it in a way. But I don't know, man. I think I might like the malice. I don't know which one I like more. I definitely like the detent on this one more for the flipping action, but they're very similar either way. So this one's a little bit more refined. But anyways, next. My Spyderco Pm2 K390 and my Spyderco Manix. Love my Manix. Got the Flytanium scales and the Flytanium cage. This one, having the K390 on it, the edge, it just holds a screaming edge. So I never worry about just putting it through hell. It's had multiple edges, and the polished edge it had, I think, went better in a way than my toothy edge. So I put a really toothy edge on it the last time, and man, it's like it's lost a lot of bite. Now, the thing is, though, is that K390 holds a very long working edge, and it actually still has a fine working edge. A lot of people probably wouldn't even sharpen it yet. I got one little chip in it, but for the most part, though, I mean, the edges hold up really well, and it does stay sharp for a very long time. But I think I don't know. It's hard to say which edge I like better on it between the polished and the toothy. Both of them work really good, but you do have a chance if you do put a polished edge on it that you can get micro chipping on it if you're pretty tough on the knife. But love using this knife, and this one's just been an awesome work knife. Love working with it. Love carrying it. One of my most recommended just work knives. You know, great knife. You know, unless if you're going to be prying and stuff like that. Next, my Giant Mouse Ace Grand. So comfortable in the hand. And I did modify it and cut out more access to my lock bar because it sucked before. But it has Elmax steel. Love me some Elmax. Took out a ridiculously sharp edge. Very sharp edge. And man, this thing cuts really well. It's a tough knife while still being a great cutter. The ergos are beautiful. It has a reversible deep carry wire clip, and the wire clip doesn't feel bad in the hand. Jimping is placed really nice. It's just such a great user, and I know this knife will take on whatever I throw at it. Next, the Quiet Carry Waypoint. Now, this one I've had for a while, but after working on it, I really started carrying it a lot more because I got it tuned up and fixed to where I was happy with it. Because at first, you know, I had a couple issues. Whatever, not a big deal. I got videos on it. You guys can watch them. But now, top notch, loving it. I love the steel. I love the type of edge it takes. But most of all, I love how, well, I don't know most of all, but I really appreciate the deep hollow grind it has and how slicey it is, how compact it is, how easy it is to carry. You don't even have to think about it. The clip works incredibly well. Great clip, super snappy action. It's not like fall shutty or anything like that, but you know, you don't need that. It's just an incredible knife, and I think that's the beauty of it. Very slim, compact, easy to carry. You don't even have to think about it. You know this is going to be a good knife for the day, especially, you know, for cutting performances, meaning like you're not really going to be tough on your knife. You're not going to be abusing your knife or anything like that, and you know it's just going to be EDC stuff or cutting, you know, things. Now, another knife, the Tuya NV2. Now they have 3 versions now. I have the Tuya NV1, which was a Tonto. But they only made 100 of those. Then they have the Tuya NV3, which is a liner lock version with cross-cut carbon fiber. Now this, and I didn't get the number 3 because in my opinion I had the best version, which is this version, the number 2, which is a hollow ground drop point blade. It's more kind of a straight back, but you know, it's still slightly a dropped tip, but it has a dual ground blade, hollow right here, flat grind up here, nice and robust at the tip, but then very thin back here. So it slices really good, and you can technically be pretty tough on it with that front, you know, tip area being as robust as it is. You're not going to have to worry about the tip popping or, you know, chipping or anything. And if you have to do some little light duty prying, you totally could with the front end of this, but it'll slice really good. Great ergos. It has very high end action. The flipper tab is super comfortable. And this is a knife that I tend to carry when I go to nicer places sometimes, because one, if I do hand my knife to somebody, this is an impressive knife to me. It looks really good. The action is high quality action. The detent is really well tuned, and it does have impressive action, and I love that about it. It looks really good. And M390 steel, titanium frame lock, titanium hardware. Although the hardware is kind of soft, I've had to get new hardware, but not that big of a deal. Tuya is awesome, and they're really good with their customers. So really quickly, a few budget knives I carried a lot this year. The Savivi Riffle, just an amazing knife. Great cutting geometry, great steel, great heat treat. Just a solid knife, solid user, solid work knife, works really good, and it's very affordable. It's easily replaceable, so I don't mind beating on it. Now, same thing with the button lock Elementum. Yes, I would love to have another deployment option, but you know, there's something about it. It is unique, and I do like that. And what I really like is when I'm on the job, and I bring it to work, I can snap this open, make my cut, get it back in my pocket so fast. It's so easy to use, and I love the profile. Very similar to, the Gale Bradley. They're basically like the same thing. If you really look at it, it's the same exact thing. And that's one thing I love about it. So, this is my favorite profile of a knife, and I love it. So, there's no shock that I enjoy using it. The blade shape, everything. I do need to resharpen it again. It's had a couple edges put on it. The edges hold up really good. 14C is a great steel, and Savivi does a good job with it. So I've really enjoyed this one this year since it came out. Now, also the Qsp Penguin. I haven't carried it much as of recently, but at the beginning of the year, I did beat the heck out of this thing. I mean, it's had a ton of edges put on it. It's been used quite a bit. Now, I have to say, I go through a lot of knives. So there are a ton of knives I'm carrying as of recently, but they just haven't been carried as much as these knives. And I swap knives out a lot. So in all reality, man, there's a lot more knives that could go on this list than that's what's already going on this list. But the Qsp Penguin was one that I carried quite a bit at the beginning of the year, and it carries really good. Great ergos, great cutter, great tool. It's easily replaceable. Just a solid work knife. D2 steel, and mine did really good. I was happy with it quite a bit. Even though it's on phosphor bronze washers, it's super smooth. Mine came really smooth, so it only got smoother the longer I've had it. I do want to get the frame lock version, but I do not have it. I do have knives like my Shiro-Gorovs that I love to carry, but I try not to. I try to preserve them a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing I wouldn't do with this. 100%, I have no problem using it. I have no problem cutting with it. Heck, I've even brought them to work before because, knives are tools, so I like to use them. But I do try to preserve it a little bit more because it is a very expensive knife, and I love it that much. And that says a lot about a knife, when I'm willing to not carry it. It's it's hard for me to say that because I believe you get the most love out of your knife from using it. And that's why I'm not afraid to use it. I love using it. I love cutting with it. That's my favorite part of the knife is the use. I don't like just staring at it in a cabinet. I want to use it and, you know, get my love on it. But I do find myself, you know, taking care of this thing a little bit more than I might other knives, even though I'm not scared to use it. Sebenza 21. Now, I haven't been giving it as much love as of lately, but that's because I've had to carry a lot of knives for review and everything. But it's definitely a knife that I just, you know, when I don't know what to carry, it'll do. It does everything good, and that's the beauty of it. And because of the geometry and the way they did the choil, you can sharpen it so many times without it ever even looking like it's been sharpened, you know, aside from the way the edge looks. But I do have a new thumb stud in this one, and that also brought this knife up in my list of knives after I replaced the thumb stud, because the thumb stud is so much more comfortable than it was with the cone shaped one. This one's more of a dome shaped, but it just changes this knife, takes it right over the top and makes it amazing. Love this knife. Love all these knives, I guess, because I keep saying that. My Tucson TS301. Man, oh man. Probably my most impressive Tucson of the year has been this one. And there's been a couple that have been very impressive. I'm very happy with the micarta they chose on this, the micarta and carbon fiber combination. I'm not a huge fan of this blade shape, but this knife is just so good and cuts so good that I love it. I love it a lot. It's so comfortable in the hand. I love the edges it takes. It gets so sharp. Love the choil. The build quality is phenomenal. Complete false shut action. Perfect centering. It's just, you really, in my example, I can really feel the build quality. Now another Tucson that I've had for a while, my 129. The Tucson TS 129. It is a fantastic knife. The carbon fiber is done very well. It's contoured, titanium on the other side, and it does have milling. Very, very smooth. The reverse flicking action is as good as anything. It almost has like a keyhole, which works so good for the reverse flick. And it also has the front flipping action. Now, the front flipping action is really, really good on this. So even though the jimping doesn't go up and around, it works just fine. Great clip. Fantastic clip. Just love this knife, man. This one's an M390 night morning design. And the geometry is really, really good. So it's basically a full flat. Not 100% full flat, but pretty close to it. But yeah, it's one of the Tucsons that are hard to beat. And my last couple, really quickly, I have carried both of these knives a lot this year. My Trm Shadow, love this knife. Such a good user. And that's kind of the beauty of this knife. Such a good user. Same thing with the Slish Bowie. This has been such a fantastic cutter. I can't believe how well this edge is held up on the CTS XHP. If I had to say the most surprising steel of the year for me, it has been on this knife. I can't explain it. It doesn't make sense, and I can't explain it to make it make sense. Any other knife, I would have sharpened at least 2 times by now. At least. And this thing is still screaming sharp. I mean, up here, yeah, it could be sharpened. But all down in here, still a damn razor blade. It doesn't make sense how well this, it's got to have like the best heat treatment ever on CTS XHP and I'm guessing that from the factory edge that was put on it, it just happened to be a really good one. Now, the 20 CV on my TRM has held up really, really well too. I mean, it's been sharpened a couple times, but I've probably used it a little bit more. But I'm very happy with TRMC treatment too. And that's very important to me with my user knives. The Trm Shadow is very hard to get. This one they did come out with a new one in 2021. They said that everybody was going to be able to get some, but it seems like they came out with one batch and then stopped them again. I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully they start dropping more, but I'm not sure. But this thing is so smooth. It's just such a good knife. I love the way it locks up. I love the way it carries. And as a user, that's kind of the beauty of it. As a user, it's such a great knife. Love this knife. But that's probably my most carried knives. Like other knives I've carried a lot, especially as of recently. But I couldn't put them and say that I've carried them more than any one of those knives. So even if I pull up a knife that I've been carrying a lot lately, right, I can't say that knife I've carried more than one of these knives. So there you guys go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.